Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to sharpen a knife with one of these diamond stones. I sell these guys on my website. They're not expensive. I've sourced these things myself just for you guys, and they work really great. It's got a 600 and a 1000 grit. This was like the prototype, so it doesn't have it marked, but on the actual ones, they've got the grits marked in that little blank space there. Diamond stones are great because they're always flat. A natural stone is really nice to use. It's just really nice feel to it. They kind of work with you. They kind of wear away and stay sharp that way. Whereas a diamond stone is just always flat. You don't have to work at this thing to correct that at all. Just always stay flat. You can use water on it to kind of wash some of the grit away. You don't need to. You can use it dry too. It's no big deal. In my shop here today, I'm just gonna rock it raw dog. It comes on this nice little stand too with some non-slip little feet on it. Real convenient. I usually do this standing up, but so that you guys can see in the confines of my shop here, I'm sitting on my garbage pail. This is one of my prototype knives. Our kitchen gets all the prototypes and screw ups, so this is an old prototype that's been working really well. I'm going to sharpen it today. So what you want to do is, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, but you'll look down. You can tell this one's a prototype and it's bent, but you can look down at the very edge of your knife, and there, yeah, you can see that little bit of a reflection. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but there's a tiny little bit of reflection along parts of the edge. So that's what you want to get rid of. You don't want to be able to see any light reflecting off of this. So get yourself some good light and have a look and see if you can see anything reflecting off the edge of your knife. You want to get rid of that, because then that's where your bevel is down to like 0. So what you're going to do, there's no substitute here for just practice. So I'm going to start on the 600. Depending on, how much work you need to do to your blade, you could just start on you tune it up on the 1000. Sorry, my rooster's going off right now. You could just go on the 1000 and just tune it up, depending on how much work you need. This one's got, like I say, a little bit of reflection going on the edge, and so I just want to get rid of that nice and easy. So the 600, what you're going to do is, people have different techniques in this. Some people start on the tip, I start on the heel, whatever. The most difficult part about this is getting that angle, figuring out what angle to sit at. There are little guides you can get for this. There are all kinds of big convoluted setups for sharpening. I like this because it's real simple. It's easy to take with you, portable, and you can, once you get this sort of technique down, you can sharpen all kinds of stuff. You can sharpen knives, chisels, scissors, whatever has a blade on it. You can sharpen like this. So it's nice. It's just a good skill to have. So what you want to do, my knives and lots of knives have what's called a micro bevel. And so I don't know if you can see on the reflection there along the edge, there's just a tiny little bit of bevel that's not part of the main bevel on the knife. This comes down, and then there's this tiny little extra little bit of bevel. So the edge is kind of like that, sort of. So what you want to do is find that degree, that angle. And once you get this figured out, it'll just come naturally. But at first, you lay flat and then come up, you'll see a shadow disappear under the edge of your blade where it meets the stone there. And that's where you want to be. Ultimately, as long as you're just consistent, then you're just going to invent your own angle and it's going to work out. As long as you just do it the same every time, you're going to be fine. So what you want to do is start at that heel and just run the whole edge down, and then flip over. I guess some people will do like 100 strokes this way and 100 that way, whatever. I like to put my other hand on the knife as well, just to kind of control the pressure. You don't need to push hard. You don't need to go fast. None of that. It's just nice and smooth and easy. The biggest thing is finding that angle. Hold the knife however is comfortable with you. The non-slip feet on this thing should mean that this thing doesn't slide around, so you don't need to hold the actual stone down while you're doing it. And you just smooth back. I usually do this standing up, so sitting on my garbage pail is a little awkward. But it's just that. Now when you drag across, you want to fall off on the side. You want to end out here. You don't want to end out here, because then this corner will drag up your blade and scratch it. So you want to be ending off the side, not off the end. And then once in a while, just check it and see if you've got any little bits that you can see. Get yourself a clean rag and wipe it off. Wipe it with the edge away from your hand. If you wipe it this way, you're probably going to cut yourself. So just clean it off. You can also wipe down your stone once in a while. Again, you can use water on this. It won't hurt it at all. And then just check. I've got a couple little spots along here where I can still see. So I'm going to go back and keep going until I get rid of those reflections. Now, it's also very important to understand how sharp your knife needs to be. If you go and look at the knives in your kitchen, grab the ones that you perceive to be fairly sharp, you know, even like steak knives that will still cut through a steak. It'll still go through vegetables and whatever. They seem sharp-ish. It's not just like gliding through effortlessly through a tomato, but they're still kind of sharp. And if you look down the edge at those knives, you'll be astonished to find you'll be able to see a reflection down the whole thing. Like, they will look really dull, but they still kind of work, right? They still work fairly good. You felt like they were pretty sharp. Now I'm pretty much there. So for the purposes of this, I'm going to flip this over and hit up the 1000 grit. So understand how sharp a knife really needs to be. Some people it's a hobby to them to sharpen things. They want to put a polished edge on an axe so they can shave their arm with it. You know, good on them, you know, more power to you. But you're going to take that thing and go start splitting firewood. Does it really need to be able to shave? So again, smooth, even strokes, just consistent angle, consistent pressure, consistent speed. You'll notice I'm going into the edge and not away from the edge. It's just a more aggressive that way. Going away from the edge, it'll take you forever. But going into the edge, if there's parts on the edge that feel rough, like this should all feel like a consistent, you should feel a consistent resistance to movement on your stone. If you feel some rough spots, it doesn't hurt to just stop and fix up that one spot and then go back to full smooth strokes. So the 600 it's going to do heavier work, obviously, and then the 1000 is just going to clean up those scratches. So if you had a really good look at this after the 600, you could actually see little scratch marks on there from the grit. After the 1000, it should look like a nice shiny edge and nice smooth clean, and that's it. So again, I don't know if you're going to be able to tell the difference here, but if you can really see whether or not there's reflection on that, it's basically there. There's a couple of tiny spots, one down here at the heel. Give a little this way, give a little that way. Smooth it out. Now you can also do a leather strop after this, which if you remember, like the old-timey barbershop guys who have that leather, everyone thought it was like a leather belt hanging off, and they would just quickly tune up. What that's doing is exactly that. It's just stropping, it's honing the blade. There we go. So we're pretty much wicked sharp there. The strop so the idea here is that you're always going to have this tiny burr. The higher up in grits you go, the smaller that burr is going to be, and you'll be able to sort of feel it a little bit on the edge, depending on which way you finished, because every time you go across, you're pushing that burr back and forth on the edge, and no matter how high of a grit you go, you're never ultimately going to get rid of that little burr. It's not a bad thing. Like I say, you take this over and start slicing tomatoes, you'd be like, yeah, that's wicked sharp. But if you really want to get, you know, picky about things, you can get yourself a leather strop. They're cheap. I haven't got one here in front of me. It's packed away. We've moved recently. But it's just a piece of wood with a piece of leather on it. You can get some honing compound that goes on there that just kind of polishes the edge. And the idea with that is the leather has a little bit of give to it. So instead of like a stone where it's just pushing back and forth, the leather will actually bend around the edge a little bit. And you'll drag away from the edge with a leather strop. And again, you'd be using the whole thing. You're polishing the edge a little bit with that honing compound, but the biggest thing that you're doing is, because it's flexing around the edge a little bit, it's pushing that burr farther than just a regular flat stone will. Even, you know, natural stone, any kind of stone, it's pushing, the leather gives, and so it's pushing around the blade, and that is what actually breaks that burr off of there, and then you're down to true zero, as sharp as you're gonna really get it. But again, as for a workhorse kitchen knife in an everyday kitchen, 1000 grit on this stone is going to get you plenty sharp for the work you need to do, and it's going to get you there. These stones have been excellent. I've been using this one for, I don't know, almost a year probably now, and I mean, I sharpen on this way more than most people are going to need to sharpen on in their kitchen. Every knife that comes out of here goes over top of this thing, and it's been holding up excellent. They do break in a little bit. At first, it's going to feel really grabby, and then it's going to smooth out. That's natural. They're designed to do that. These little holes catch some of that. Every time you stroke across here, you're taking a little bit of tiny, tiny metal filings off of there, and that's what all that darkness that's not orange inside of there is. And so those holes are designed to collect that, so it gets it away from your sharpening surface. Give it a wipe off, blow on it, wet rag, whatever, it'll clean them up. And these things have been phenomenal. Like I said, they're 30 bucks, I think, on my website, MikeJonesKnifeandTool.com. Go and check them out. I think I've only got a couple of them left right now. I'll have to get more of them in, and they've been great. So if you're looking to be able to sharpen your knives yourself, keep things maintained, your pocket knives, your kitchen knives, your scissors, you know, anything you need to sharpen, these things are great. 600 and 1000 is an awesome combination of grits for, like I say, your everyday use. You don't need to get up into your 2000s, your 8000s for a workhorse kitchen knife, for example. So give them a try if you're interested. Hit me up. Thanks. Bye.